Stand by SOT1.
Standing.
10 seconds. Ready, rollin'. Ready, SOT1.
Ready.
In 4, 3, 2, 1. Roll in.
From legendary Uncle Studios in beautiful Southern California, welcome to another edition of Work Comp Matters, the central location for you employees, you employers, and of course, we haven't forgotten about you damn independent contractors. And now, here's this week's edition of Work Comp Matters.
And it is August 8th, straight up 12 noon. Welcome to another edition of Work Comp Matters. We are brought to you by the workcompcentral.com. If you want the number one location for workers' compensation in both California and around the United States, check out the workcompcentral.com. They've got a free 7-day offer. And if you want to pick up their services I have, then you should too. It's only $1 a day. Work Comp Matters is also brought to you by A1 Law, number one computer management system, used by more workers' compensation attorneys than any other system on the damn planet. 81357-4120 for your no string. A1 Law. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Steve Appell, and I'm joined by the madman across the water, Mr. John Scalia, and the chief of staff doctor, but he's not a medical doctor, Mike Zyma. Mike, you hearing me okay?
Yeah, the reverb is gone.
Yeah, okay, good. And John, are you hearing me okay?
Yep.
Okay, good. I've had technical difficulties, folks, on my end for the past 2 days. So rather than podcasting from my laptop microphone, I'm doing this one from, I did the one yesterday, and I'm doing this one from my iPhone. So we will see if we can fix those technical difficulties on my end this weekend. I wanted to talk today about Nancy Pelosi, who came out earlier in the week and said Joe Biden should not debate Donald Trump. Now, before this statement came out, my understanding is they were talking about definitely 3 debates and maybe 4. And in the past, at least in modern times, whatever that means, I can't remember the last time there was a presidential election without presidential debates. Now, Pelosi comes out and says that Biden should not debate Trump. And then, of course, the speculation all over, including me, was, why did she say that? Well, prevailing thought is one of 2 reasons. Either she thought that without the debates, Biden would win, or with the debates, Biden was not competent enough to win. Now, the first thing I want to ask both John and Mike, do you believe that what I just elicited was the prevailing thought on why Pelosi said that?
My understanding is that Pelosi said that because she believes that engaging Trump in a debate is dignifying Trump as a candidate. In other words, he shouldn't be spoken to.
All right. And John, is that your understanding of the prevailing thought?
Yeah, as I told Mike earlier before we got on air, why would you go on stage and debate with a scorpion or a rattlesnake?
All right, fair enough. Regardless of whether or not Trump is a scorpion or a rattlesnake, in regards to what Mike said, what Pelosi's thought, why debate and engage him or admit that he is a candidate? Well, he is a candidate. That's black and white, no gray. So although that may have been Pelosi's school of thought, that doesn't make any sense to me. President Clump. I can't believe I said that. President Trump clearly is the Republican candidate. And so that's not in question. So
I think
then,
she's just saying despicable, you shouldn't talk to him.
Say that. Oh, well.
Right.
Okay.
That's pretty simple. I mean, I think she's made it very clear that's what she meant. She meant the man is despicable. You shouldn't talk to him anyway. You should just ignore him, regardless of who he is. Just like you should ignore Vladimir Putin, except you're on his payroll.
All right. Fair enough. Mike, what is your opinion? Should Biden...
my opinion is very clear. If Biden runs away with his tail between his legs, Trump gets reelected. Period.
John, do you believe if there is no debate, basically Trump wins in a landslide?
No, I think Biden would win. And let me say this about debates. The only guy in this program who knows what a debate is me. I was one of the top-ranked debaters in the United States of America. My mailbox was full of things from colleges wanting me to go there and debate. And let me tell you, having watched a lot of presidential debates, those things are not debates anyway.
It's the only thing we have.
Well, it may be the thing you have, but that's like saying the only thing I have is ground round, so I'm going to pretend it's filet.
Well, okay. Well, let's explore that. John, why are the past presidential debates not debates in your mind?
Because in a debate, the sides confront each other directly, and they're not allowed to obfuscate. They're not allowed. They don't go off on their bullet points on their campaign programs and ignore the actual question, which is generally what happens in these so-called debates. They're not real debates. One guy should stand up there and say, "This is what I believe," or better yet, give them each the opportunity to cross-examine the other. That's a nice trial lawyer technique. We're good at that. Give them have them ask a question. Just like I asked your last guest a question and she refused to answer.
Yeah. I had a feeling that was coming, but I will discuss that with you off air.
May I respond? I respond?
Yes, go ahead.
I agree 100% with John.
Thank you for responding. John.
I mean, I want to see a debate, but if it's the only thing we have, then let it roll.
Okay, well, let's explore again what John said. Now, John, are you saying in all of the debates that you personally attended and took part in, there was not a moderator?
Right. There's no moderator.
So the majority of debates that you participated in, there was no moderator.
Yeah, just judges, no moderator.
Judges. Okay. They judged So they judged the debate, which I presume from the start to the finish, the judges did not say a word.
Correct.
I find that fascinating because in all of the debates that I've seen, well, certainly the presidential debates, all of the governmental debates, and maybe this is why you're saying what we see are not debates, there are always moderators there. John, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Are there any famous debates or ones that would be statewide, citywide, worldwide that took place, that was publicized, where there was no moderator?
I think in the modern age, they've all had moderators because they're all part of TV, and the TV networks broadcast them. You probably have to go back to, the Lincoln-Stevens debates?
Okay, all right. Well, no. For purposes of this discussion, let's talk about the modern age. And clearly, you participated in debates during the modern age. And if I understand you correctly, none of those debates had moderators. Is that correct?
Correct.
So who decides, as you so eloquently said, when someone was going off topic or maybe like Ted Cruz in his filibuster, green eggs and ham? It's the opponent and only the opponent?
No, you have a time limit. Each person gets a time limit and it's enforced. You get to the time limit, then shut the you know what up. I mean, that's
Okay.
it. You get so much time, shut up.
And the judges enforce the time limit.
Yeah.
However, what is talked about or staying on topic or someone doing green eggs and ham, the judges do not say a word.
No, they render a decision, which means if you've been talking about green eggs and ham, you're going to lose.
Mike, have you ever well, John just said that in the modern age, at least for publicized debates, the moderators don't exist except for publicized debates. I've never seen a debate where there was no moderator.
I have not either.
John, have you been in a debate with a moderator?
No.
Okay. And your preference would be to see Biden and Trump in a debate without a moderator. Is that correct?
Yeah, and just a time limit so that, if they talk too long, you shoot them or whatever.
So if it was a choice between no debate at all or a debate without moderator, you would choose the debate without a moderator.
Right.
Okay.
I think what we have is just a mockery of what a debate should be. It's just ridiculous. It's absurd. It's
And
I'd like to say,
hold on.
I'd like to.
Go ahead, Mike.
I would love to see Biden and Trump with no gloves and no moderator go at it mano a mano. I would love that.
Me too.
I would love to see that too, but since that clearly is not an option, it's never happened before. If it came down to a choice between no debate and a debate with moderators, clearly I'm taking the debate with moderators. And what I wanted to say a moment ago.
Let me interrupt for a second. Do you understand that in all these debates, they actually have signed agreements between the Republican National Committee and the Democratic National Committee on how it's going to be and certain questions and what, they're totally rigged anyway. They're really not a debate. It's just a press conference.
I understand what you're saying. I also understand that before each debate, both sides agree on the rules of the debate. But I do not agree that it's a press conference.
Yeah.
Unless it was Hillary's side, which got a bunch of questions given to her under the table prior to the debate.
No. What happened there is that the rules were broken. Okay. Because I'm sure that there was some type of an agreement. In fact, I think there was, that nobody would get the questions in advance. So Hillary's side.
Is in a debate, there are no questions. That's my point. Unless you want to let people cross-examine. If you want to go to a trial format, which would be great, I would love it. Fine, but that's not what a debate is. A debate is not where you say, well, we're going to have a bunch of preset questions for one side or preset. That's absurd. It's a joke. I'm sorry, it's a joke.
No, you don't have to apologize. We got a few minutes before our break. Pardon me. Mike Zima, do you agree that the publicized debates in the modern time are, quote, a joke?
Well, they're not bare knuckles like John is talking about. And I understand that. And I understand that, John came up in the purest tradition of the debate was a debate with bare knuckles. I understand that. But we got what we got. And as flawed as the system is, I'll be honest, there's nothing I like better to do than to go over to Steve's house on debate night with a bunch of Budweiser and watch the debate.
And I will say this, and then we're going to go to break. I don't think it's the best that we got. I think we get what we deserve. If the American public and the journalists wanted a bare knuckle debate without moderators, trust me, we would have a bare knuckle debate. The public is getting what the public wants. My name is Steve Appell. You're dialed into Work Comp Matters. We are brought to you by the workcompcentral.com. If you want the number one location for workers' compensation in both California and around the United States, check out the workcompcentral.com. They've got a free 7-day offer. And if you want to pick up their services, I have them. You should too. It's only $1 a day. Work Comp Matters is also brought to you by A1 Law, number one computer management system. 818-357-4120 for your no strings attached money back guarantee, $1 a day. A1 Law. We're going to get back to the Biden-Trump debates, but right now, John and Mike with the Zoom news. Take it away, guys.
All right. Medical students feel very behind because of COVID. And as soon as I pull up my news, here we go. COVID-19 is disrupting just about every student's 2020 education, but medical students have it particularly hard right now. It's a nightmare scenario for the class of 2021, said Jake Berg, a fourth-year student at the Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine in Pikeville. In March, students were abruptly pulled out of hospitals and medical offices, where they normally work with professionals to learn about treating patients. Over the space of less than 2 weeks, he said, medical students in pretty much the entire country transitioned from seeing patients in person to learning online. Everyone goes along with the idea that we're all in the same boat together, he said, but really, it's like we're all on the Titanic and it's sinking. Mike.
Sean Penn has expanded his fight against the coronavirus beyond his own expectations. The Oscar winner's disaster relief organization, CORE, has gone from providing 6,500 tests in a couple weeks to administering more than 1.3 million within a 5-month span. The organization started at 4 sites in LA and currently operates in 32 locations in cities including New York, Atlanta, Chicago, Detroit, New Orleans, and Washington, D.C. The organization, which started as an international relief group, had initially planned to operate test sites in LA for 3 months. It's now expanding its services and bracing for the winter months when the virus could surge and strain resources. Good for you, Sean Penn. John.
You remember what I told you yesterday about Brian Jones, the guy who tested positive? Well, this is a follow-up. Nearly every California GOP state senator in quarantine after coronavirus exposure. Nearly every Republican in the California Senate was forced to stay away from the Capitol on Thursday as they quarantined after coming into close contact with a fellow senator who later tested positive for the coronavirus. Republican senators gathered with Jones on Tuesday at a caucus lunch where they removed their masks to eat, Capitol staffer said. Many also attended a Monday night social dinner where Jones was present. Yeah, and let's guess about how many had masks at that social dinner, quote unquote. Mike.
Well, and here I thought Brian Jones was a guy on the Rolling Stones that died in 1969. Californians could see the most dramatic expansion of mental health and addiction coverage under state law in decades if the Gab signs a bill that is likely heading to his desk in coming weeks. The bill, SB 855, by Democratic State Senator Scott Wiener, this is not the first time he's been in the news, of San Francisco, would significantly expand what treatments are considered medically necessary for health insurance coverage. Current state law requires health plans to cover medically necessary treatment of just 9 serious mental illnesses. The new law would expand that coverage to include a much broader array of mental health issues, notably substance use disorder and addiction, among others. And you may recall that in some previous health plans, the person had to be suicidal before they were offered services. I think this is a great bill. John.
After 8 workers die of COVID-19, officials want Merced County Foster Farms plant closed. The site of one of California's worst coronavirus outbreaks has been a Foster Farms poultry plant in the Central Valley. And now officials want the processing plant shut down. 8 workers at the Foster Farms Livingston facility have died, representing 18% of the COVID-19 death toll in Merced County among people under the age of 65. Other Foster Farms facilities in multiple counties are also experiencing outbreaks. In view of the increasing deaths and uncontrolled COVID-19 cases, the decision was made to order the Livingston plant within the Foster Farms Livingston complex closed until acceptable safety measures are in place, Dr. Salvador Sandoval, the Merced County Health Officer, said in a statement late Thursday. Mike.
It has been a bad week for the credibility of federal health officials who have backtracked under fire from 2 ill-considered pandemic directives that were adopted under pressure from the White House. It started Sunday with the head of the Food and Drug Administration, Dr. Stephen Hahn, grossly overstating the benefits of giving COVID-19 patients blood plasma from people who'd recovered from the coronavirus. To support President Trump's announcement that the therapy was some sort of amazing breakthrough and that the FDA would be giving it emergency approval, Hahn had said the treatment would save an additional 35 lives out of 100 patients treated. Other medical experts quickly pointed out, however, that the data showed no such thing, and on Tuesday, Hahn publicly apologized. John.
I'm going to give the last story. Thank you, guys. I don't think you guys read the story from the Sacramento Bee about the change in the labor law, so I'm going to start reading that, and this will finish up our news. And guys, if you read it, just say, Steve, stop. We already read that. California Democrats yesterday released a final package of exemptions to a new state labor law that requires businesses to give benefits to more employees, allowing more leeway for youth sports coaches, artists, appraisers, and insurance field representatives to work as independent contractors. The proposed exemptions come in the form of Assembly Bill 2257, a clarification bill to the 2019 labor law known as Assembly Bill 5, or as we've been reporting on for the past year, AB 5. The bill with proposed exemptions is backed by Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez, Democrat San Diego, who was the main advocate for the new labor law. So as yours truly has been saying all along, the sole purpose of AB 5 is not to protect workers, but rather to exempt certain occupations from being classified as workers. And this new bill, Assembly Bill 2257, in addition to everything else, is going to exempt youth and sports coaches, artists, appraisers, and insurance field representatives. I wonder if artists also refer to musical artists. So Scott Walton of legendary Uncle Studios, you may or may not want to check that out. Assembly Bill 2257. We are talking about Nancy Pelosi coming out earlier in the week and saying that Joe Biden should not debate Donald Trump. There apparently are 3 schools of thought. 1, if he doesn't debate, she thinks Biden's going to win. 2, he shouldn't debate because if he does, she thinks Biden's going to lose. And then, as John so eloquently put it, she should not dignify talking to Donald Trump. John was explaining earlier how what we have seen in modern times publicized with candidates is really not a debate, but it's really, John, what'd you say, public advertisement or whatever like that?
Yeah, they just get to present their bullet points for their campaign and basically take whatever questions asked and skirt around it or avoid it or ignore it and go on and talk about whatever it is they want to talk about.
Well, I have to agree with John in one sense that the traditional old school version of a debate does not have moderators. It has judges. And of course, the parties agree to the rules prior to debate. But the colloquial definition of debate, what we have all come to know, understand, arguably love, are two sides that have between 1, 2, and 3 moderators. And of course, after the debate is over, we get hours, days, weeks of analysis from our so-called journalists, not only about how the candidates, they're not called debaters, they're called candidates, how the candidates did, but also how the moderators did. Did the moderators do a good job? Did the moderators do a bad job? Were the moderators there? Did they have a bias towards one candidate or debater or another? I first want to go to John Scalia. John, I know you disagree with the philosophy of our current debate of having moderators there, but what do you think of the moderators that have performed during our current time debates?
Well, I think it's been a mixed bag. I mean, some have obviously been good and some have obviously been not so good. The other thing about what goes on for a debate is also you've got optics involved. But of course, there's always optics in a debate. I remember the first Kennedy-Nixon debates, and that's what started the whole debate thing, actually. And I remember I had to go somewhere. Well, I was working, even though I was 14 years old, I was working every day at Kennedy for President headquarters. And so I couldn't see it on TV. I had to listen to it on the radio. And I listened to it on the radio and I thought, oh my God, Nixon killed him. Because I'm a debater. I could tell who was winning points. And then, of course, it came on TV and Nixon looked like crap. And he was sweating and he was, he made a terrible image and everybody agreed he lost the debate by 1 million points, which of course wasn't true based on content. But, it just, it's part of the modern era. But I think it's gone too far. I mean, I think it's gone so much to the optics, so much to the TV that any semblance of a real confrontation on issues and a real presentation of evidence and a serious debate about what's going on doesn't have a chance.
Mike, what do you think about the moderators of debates in modern times?
I think that in general, they have done an okay job. I'm thinking of the time when it was, and it's an exception, when Obama was debating. I believe it was Romney, and I believe it was Donna Brazile that bailed out Obama, and that was just absolutely ridiculous. But other than that, I think they've been throwing them down the middle of the plate. John, do you think the moderators throw it down the middle of the plate generally?
Well, hang on. Before I wanted to give my favorite example of moderators. When Trump was debating Hillary and Hillary was talking and Trump was walking across the stage behind her, which clearly distracted from what Hillary was saying. It probably wasn't against the rules. I suspect that he was doing it on purpose, but I'm surprised that the moderators did not say anything about it whatsoever. John, Mike, did you want to respond to Mike's question?
Go ahead, John.
No, I just, like I say, I pretty much ignored them. So I just read in the press how the moderators came across. And it's very rare that a moderator comes under severe criticism. So I assume most of them are doing an okay job. My point is the job shouldn't exist.
And if I could say something about Hillary, because she did say something about this after she lost the election. Yeah, she knew that Trump was behind her, kind of like pacing, and she should have just turned around and said, "Get out of my face." Something like that.
I agree.
Why not?
Absolutely.
Hillary hasn't stopped talking since the election.
That's
no,
true.
I've never liked Hillary anyway, and she refuses to take. She ran a terrible campaign. I mean, she's the reason Donald Trump is president. Anybody else should have won.
I agree.
Interesting point. John Scalia, closing thoughts, burning desires.
No, I think it's been a fun discussion.
Mike, closing thoughts, burning desires.
Two things. Rest in peace, Lute Olson. And this is the 57th anniversary of MLK's I Have a Dream speech. Thank you.
And I cannot wait for the Trump-Biden debates. Looking forward to having the doctor over at my house with Budweiser. It's really the only time that I ever drink Budweiser, when the doctor is there, because he brings the beer. I, of course, prefer Sam Adams Regular, my favorite.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
My name's Steve Appell. You've been dialed into Work Comp Matters. Much thanks to Scott Walton of legendary Uncle Studios, the doctor, but he's not a medical doctor, my chief of staff. Keeps me out of trouble and in check at least 90% of the time. Dr. Mike Zyma, the madman across the water, John Scalia. Thank you once again. Valuable contributions to the show, as well as all the good people back at the Work Comp Central and A1 Law. Everybody take care, and we'll see you again Monday at 12 noon for another edition of Work Comp Matters.